Nanzu Sabbath in the yard. Any native mama, Kachinji letter, nature and chance to be money. The sanctions of the Yuna, Shadang the Tola. The diet in the Yuna, your technologies.
So, we just said we have like more, like we have like few new people here, new faces. And we just said, so we are in the middle of the text, so we have covered the basic kind of understanding of this text, the previous classes. So you may not have understood, or like sometimes like if you get in the middle of the text, so when we go through this explanation, you may not understand. And regarding this text, or like if you have like any questions, you can come forward. Or otherwise, he's going to go over a little of like a basic kind of explanation, teaching. Do you have any questions? You don't know anything for this text?
But there are much taking.
Again, much function.
Takasa dog. But under the Tambute Mendressing expression. Mendressing it at the Chita to say Lung get at the Jabati. Then get it into sign showing in the Cheto. Yeah, Kunjolo to be somebody in Mendressing. Yella, and you Kunjoliachi. Changing world city. And is indeed the kid. Me changing out the changing out the chit to me, Kunjolia, and you get the teacher. There's somebody and here is mandatory.
So the beginning of every class, we are
technology is mandatory.
So we recite verses. We call it a Mandala offering. If you have this book, if you have the book, so you can look at the first page. It says before teaching. Right? We're reciting the Sashi Pyogi. Sashi Pyogi. Here's the ground. Mandala offering. So we are starting with the making offerings, like a Mandala offering, because at that moment we are, so in order to receive teachings from teacher or anything, so we need to make an offering to them. So this is the form of offering. So here you're offering, basically you're offering all of your virtues and your like just your wealth, like visualizing them and offering it to the Guru or the Buddha or the Bodhisattva. So that is actually a form of like making offering before we receive the teaching.
Another thing is like soon to get is teaching the because me Jamdu Singis Yegaris. Like Jamdu Sati, why in age Chilukari, Jamdu Sati,
In the second verse, we recite refuge Chiga. We start with Sangye Chöda and to enlighten in English. If you look at this text there. So then this is the practice of refuge and bodhicitta. So refuge is taking refuge under some holy objects. So every religions they have like some form of savior. We call it like a savior or like a protectors. So here in the Buddhist tradition, we identify three objects of refuge. So these are the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So we go for refuge to those three objects.
Today, at this come to cheers here the
Yes, good one.
So then the last refuge is Sangha. Sangha refuge. Sangha refuge is like a role model. So then we can compare them with our own experience, and we can see so that the teaching is something valuable, and that's something we can relate to our own experience. So that's why we take them as an example, and we try to be like that, like sanghas. So there are many sanghas. So then that's why we consider a sangha one of the refuge objects.
Oh, that is that Raya Puji, because kusumla ta engugiyari isumna matena tati sumbuti pena ran neba ran never vichi tatini pena amji khevati sange ani ne di amji khevati gi ne nevati tagje cheni ne ke shabati chökunjori ne di ne yo jingi gu suti chöku dindu kunjori yasang ngaranzu ne le joala neba gu suti aranzu che neba di ne le joala karikore sina amji khevati le tengu amji khevati le tenbatan ichigi amari amji digi ne di ta kisu isi chigore isina ani me di ni chökunjori आज मैं तें बताने दिया हमारे चीज नेवती चीज या वो चीज आया इच्छे तो अने नेयो चिकु बियारी नेयो तिगी चीज परसुरे और नेयो तिले ता अंजी खेबा मैं नेयो लेते ने रंग ने तिले प्रभु बियारवा दिनाशी अने कुछ सुमसिंगे ते रंगी 강에 들려줘야지 아니 내들이 가르쳐 그래 어디라 고순이야리 어디에서 이제 암지대 집에 어디 군조숨세한테 되게 개친도
So then the three refuge, three objects of refuge. There is the classic example, so we can understand better in that way. So this example is like ourselves, and ourselves as we look as a sick person, and a sick person who has actually going through really a serious kind of illness. So then the Buddha is like a doctor or physician. So then physicians, the part of the physician's role or the responsibility is to diagnose the right disease or the right sickness, whatever we have. So he can only, his ability is to identify what is the sickness, exactly sickness. Then he will prescribe you, he will give you some prescriptions. So then the medicines, medicine. So if you take that medicine, the medicine actually helps you to recover from your illness. Similar like Dharma is something. If you digest Dharma, if you put them into practice, that Dharma practice actually helps you from your suffering and the difficulties. And there's a Sangha member. Sangha member is like a nurse, a nurse like the attendants. So we need someone, like we need help when we are sick. So we cannot do ourselves like everything. So then we need help. The Sangha is like a nurse, like attendants. So because of their kindness, then it's like our like when we get sick, it's easier to recover, like a faster. So similar like in that way. So then the Sangha role is like we can take an example. So they are actually helping us going through the process of our spiritual journey. So similar like that, similar to the nurse.
되네 이나네다 암지 되게 담분에 내 지다게 제네 내디 두가리를 주는 중도 예 가리를 때는 중도 두가리를 때는 중도 다제 야부제니다 딘제 내디 두텔을 때는 중샤 예 들을 때는 중샤 자 뒤에서 아니 일매 팬벤맨 디든지 사부도 아마 람준나니티 다 상계시리 상계기 뒤체기 강에 두수 용단 두수 강게치 아니 강에디 용단기 강에디 세대비 탑 근데요바 야하고 챔버리 체네 아니 이 강에디 그 딘데지를 중샤 예 딘데지를 중샤 이 세대를 딘데지제부터 수제 서로 숨기야래 ati somba sanje oti sanje kunju tisungyaris.
So then the Buddha, Buddha is Buddha can only give us instructions, similar like a doctor, right? Doctor. So doctor, when they check up with your health, then they will find out what are the causes of your sickness and what are the methods, what are the remedies to to cure your sickness. Then he will put you into some meditation. So similar like that. So Buddha is something who knows like everything, and he will give you the instruction how to overcome and how to eliminate all the causes for your sufferings. So he will give you instructions similar like physicians.
Tene ane arangi ne dile toala kharcho gores ne amji ne teshe ne dide disagores ane tuju tindeji ti macha da sagores ne me teshe rabati tati me di rangi sana ne dile to giyare amji kheba ge taje che ni te ji thaya ge thapshe tang ji sele suba dem ku ya ge tangalo sunbarete sune tini me de me de rang ma sana me de tu ya ma me de je sa chue de sange ge lang den sha ba de inde tinde che bu ri ni kange se ya ge thap de de che bu ri kange se ya ge kange ge de chi ku ya ma re se lamduna sha ba dan shi de rang ma chen kange de tu ya ma re 제가 암지기 내 제셔가 뒤다 빈마사나 아니 나랑기 내디 두고야 말아 어디 제선다 최대 주인세야디 내기 최대
So then the Dharma is like medicine. So then once the doctor or the physician find out all the solutions to cure your sickness, then he will put you on some treatments. Like for instance, he will give you some medicine, right? And he will instruct you like specific, like precisely time and amount. If you follow all of his instructions, then that actually helps you to cure from that sickness. So similarly, so in order to cure from your sickness, you have to take that medicine. You have to follow the instructions, and you have to take that medicine on time, on the right amount. Similar like that, the Buddha's Dharma. So Dharma, so even though Buddha gives you all the instructions, if you don't put into practice, there's no way, it's impossible you to overcome any difficulties or the sufferings. So that means you have to practice it. You have to put into practice all of your whatever you have received instruction from the Buddha. So and that's why this is the only way you can free from your suffering. So that's why we call the Buddha. The Dharma is the actual protector or the actual refuge, similar like a medicine. So medicine is the only way you can cure your sickness.
다제다 길이 되네 아니야 지 메세네야 아니 내열 맞대는 네야 강에디 되투고 말아 내여지 뒤뒤스 메디제니 아니지 최대제니 최대지야비 쿨레 세테야 세테야 비 최대인데 주니 비 세테야 딘데지 내여디 아니 야부지 마주나 네 내디레 투야 말바 니에서 딘주 근조세야디 길이 여사 근조 수세야디 딘데 니야레.
So then the last rep is Sangha. Sangha is like a nurse. So we are in the bed, like we are in this bed sick, right? Sick bed. I don't know. Sick bed. So then we need help. So we need help. Someone actually needs to track our time, or someone actually helps you to bring over all the foods and give you the medicine on time. So someone has to track all of this in order to cure your sickness. Similar like that, and the Sangha is like something like that. So then they help us to have like a really smooth or like really easy spiritual journey. So that's why, because of them, so that's why we in Buddhist we have the refuges. All of them are necessary for us to have like a better spiritual journey. So that's why we consider all of them are the refuges.
Oh, the inside and the Chinese the Chukunjo, Chukunjo, Java, Sanjay Sunshava, Liba Java teacher, Niriba Tilchi Guyamari, Lamduna Shavatilla, and that Yamnetia, the Tanda Pachi, Neshetia, the Diri Chukunjo, Elia, Chukunjo, Yamnetia.
So when we listen to the teaching, that is actually Dharma refuge. So here we're trying to understand what are the instructions, how to overcome our sufferings and our problems, how to eliminate all the causes of them, all the sufferings and the difficulties. That's why we do these teachings. We have like classes on like Dharma teaching. This is this text, whatever we are studying on. These are the Dharma refuge.
Oh, Tene Mazuki, I nearly come to Chiguati. A Chukunjo doing Yamne Chin to be Loch Yola. Then Lamdina Niki, Kunjo de la Anichi Yichi, Ubiarba. Just Chesanje Kunjuli kept Chis, just kept the chose. Sim Yichi Jenny, Yichi Lunde Jenny, Jatilla. Sangeli kept cheese. Yes, and teenage Koyati Karen Sang and Chilando in a thing it to the page. Ichi de Baravich, Lunge Chiagi, Lochiana, and it is Lamduna Shabati, Anikas with a Tabata Sambata Chia, Combachia Lipe, and she Yamne the Abuchin Guerra, yes, and it could just jump to Chia to Chukunjoli jump to into Kunjoli jump to Chia.
So then, in the beginning of every class, we do this practice, the refuge and the bodhicitta. So refuge, we are doing this practice because when we start any teachings, first we need to build a trust between the person who gave us instruction. Because here we are Buddha, so we need to have some kind of faith in Buddha or the trust in him. So once we have that trust, then we will convince. So we are sure that this instruction will be valid. So otherwise, if you don't have a trust, if you don't have any trust in that person, so we are not going to do anything about whatever they say. Similar like that, when we need to build up some kind of trust in Buddha, so then we will willing to carry on his instruction and his teachings. So that's why we do this refuge practice in the beginning.
The Santa, and it is surely thinking there. But in the near shit, Dumba jump to jump, and they jump to Jenny, and you making this sugar, and that. Semjegi Gangesea, Semjegi Gangesea, Semjegi Tiji to which. And it is Sanjay, the Karasure, Semjegi Gangesea, Semjegi Tiji, Tambu Base, Tambune de Romani, Semjegi Tiji to the Rangi, Luda Longjukanga, Semjegi Gangesea, Semjegi, your to be a chit. Down Sanji to command to be in some place. If Kares and did, and they choose Yati. Sanjay can say, I want to be a chit. 이 현재 강에서 어떻게 가르쳐 주는 저 강에서 어떻게 하지? 아니 그도 좀 알았지? 산지는 산지 주고 봐. 현재의 산 현재의 강에서 어떻게 하지? 저 어떻게 그도 좀 봐. 가르침 버릇이 산지 생겼지. 이 산 현재의 어떻게 아니 강에서 어디지? 산지 가르쳐 그래. 상부 타르도가 산지 용의 체도 네 삼루다야 되라 자주가 셈스 술로 저기야 그런데 라지 비치도 랑기 디지기 치도 많이 봐 랑기 디지기 치도 많이 봐 현재 시행기 디지기 치도 산지 준대되게 랑기 디지기 치도 많이 봐 현재기 디지기 치도 안에만 보 저만 보사 가르쳐 그래 아니 근데 아니 가르쳐 그래 어딘데 난 거라 어딘데 나니 근데 나니까 sem 타르투버티 sem 상부 타르투버티 상계에서 이상 상계는 신체 제약의 체도 아니 내 주인이 유sam사 상부 타르투버 상계는 신체 제약의 체도 네 드니 최대 인기 유sam버스 단 도구는 자주가 셈세트.
So then the next practice is bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is by the merit of listening to the Dharma, may I achieve Buddhahood for the sake of sentient all beings, right? Beings. So then, once we take refuge practice, then so then this is part of like setting up like our motivation. What we're trying to understand or realize. What is the purpose of listening to teaching? What is the purpose of practicing Dharma? So then, so here, this is the bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, actually, we need to think of all the sentient beings. So then, so we have learned that all the sentient beings are going through all the difficulties and the sufferings. So you wanted to free them from that kind of suffering. So then we try to find any solutions. Solutions. We try, how can we help them? How can we help them? So then we realize it's the only Buddhahood, is the only source, only state, then they can give all like really complete kind of help or the complete kind of happiness for the sentient beings. So in order for that, then we need to achieve that state, so Buddhahood. So then in order to help sentient beings, first of all, we need to achieve that state of Buddhahood. So then when we achieve that Buddhahood, Buddha is something that in the during the path or even like when it becomes Buddha, all of his virtues and actions and everything is dedicated to sentient beings, even when he was on the path, right? When he was in the training path. So similar like that, we need to dedicate all of our wealth and any like virtues and everything for the sentient beings. So then we will become Buddha. So once we become Buddha, so then that is really easy to help. And even though you help them, if you give them help, then you can give them like help in like really extensive way, or like complete way, sort of like complete way. Otherwise, so even though if you have that kind of mind or intention to help sentient things, you are really limited of like any abilities, or like you are not capable of giving them complete kind of happiness.
다는 심제 개침시 제고야 가르잖아. 심제 개침시고 상계다 심제님부터 개치 중에 봐인 말이. 단다랑 기티지가 그것이 심제는 되는 중앙인데. 이 라 담부께 인지네 가게 인데 나지 매봐. 이제 개발봐. 이네 야지지 and the Patoji, Yende Condition, Digi Condition, had to Sukanga, Simjig cutting the joint. In Mase Maombana, Rai Yapuji, Yati, Simjela Sunjo Yapuji, Digi Chisim Chimbajuna, and Maombani Ran Karasubri, Igiti, Gyumed Khensur. But this was another digit, Jung Sati, some day, Sanjay Jumde Denham Ranzutanda, young Ellen there simply. Aniki soon the love to soon the love to Jenny. Karachi Resena, Sanjay can say at Egypt, the Dirigiaba. He Karasway, Rang Tiki, Rang Tiki, Candace to Resena, and now Menawachita, Sijit, the real Jen Maiba. Rangi Tiki to conduct to listen, Rangi Karasway, Simjaki can say at Simjaki Tiki to ya. Or teach to chess, Rang Tiki in Giver. Jata. Simjay touch Muchikoya, Simjay Rangi Tiki Tandam Tada, Sanjay Tiki Kanga, Sanjala Tinitu. Mahombana Tiki Kanga, Sanjala Tinitu. What is some news? Tiki in Javata, Nosati, Sanjala Tinitu. What is Ranga Sangu in the condition? Is Sanjala Tinitu. Chimba Singer. And Christopher Singer. What it.
So then, so we may think, we may wonder why we need to really consider about all the sentient beings. We may think that. So this is this is really important. So we need to know that the value of the the sentient beings is really value of the sentient beings and the value of the Buddhas. Buddhas are like same, actually same. So they are really really related to your own experience. So then, so they are really kind to us. Means like in another word, they are really kind to us. Whatever we have like a joyful experience, any moment. So when you try to careful like find out what are the source, and we'll see actually all of them are came from the kindness of the other sentient beings. But if there's no sentient beings, it's impossible for us to have any leisure kind of moment. So for instance, taking rebirth, like coming into this world, we need to depend on other sentient beings. So then your education, it totally depend on other sentient beings. All of your happiness is depend on other sentient beings. That's why we need to really consider about sentient beings, welfare of the sentient beings. So this is the reason why we need to think of all this well-being of the sentient beings. So then also all of your good qualities in our in ourselves, like good qualities. For instance, there are these perfections. For instance, like perfection of generosity. So in order to complete that practice, only you can complete that practice if there's a sentient being. Otherwise, and also perfection of patience. Patience is only you can practice if there's a sentient being. So we need to complete all of this practice and all of this. We need to go to all this realization in order to become Buddha. So only that can happen if there's a sentient beings. So that's why they are really kind to you. So that's why you need to pay them, repay their kindness in form of like happiness for them. So that is only can be done if you become Buddha. So that's why we need to consider all the sentient beings is really precious object to us. And also when we are studying the teaching of the Buddha, right? So Buddha in the initial, he had intention to help all the sentient beings in the middle and the end. All the time he was like focusing only to bring happiness for the sentient beings. So and also this teaching, whatever he teach, whatever he'll have like all these teachings, is meant to bring happiness for the sentient being. So that's why when we practice, when we study his teaching, so then we should, we should come forth with like that kind of attitude, like a trusting mind, because his meant for this teaching is to bring happiness for the sentient being. So that's why when we do this practice, it has to be accord with whatever he had intended for.
that it just and that and it I can get and it love to chat down the same sambu same very deep story same sambu the yagu ji AI ni indeed chetu tatande dinale love to na ti kresna so the tang din sin ji da ran chi ji sin ji ran chi ji se ti na mo jambad samje ran khune so ran chi bi chetu be ji inde jaya samlu tana ani ti kang ma bu chen ge sem ku yang de je ran ti karusugre mi chi gri is sem de be ran chi bi chetu sam ma tan nimbe gi sam ba ku ne lang gi na sem li po ba ki ya ri sem lo po ba ki su na ni ti sem de ti ki tu ye ti ma je ba je ran 이거 지금 지 제도에 상담한테 수면은 이게 저한테 독하고 아니 쌤디게 배랑 지도 상담인데 뭐 쌤디 자춘지 제발 때니 아니 이간 쌤을 강만 붙여야 어디 예산 이 단대 이게 강가 미리 강가 란친지 되는 제 란친지를 파지 니니 란친지 에러지 세 주야서 그러면 어딘지 뒤치기야 단다디
So then, so Rinpoche said and earlier, so then also, so your own welfare or your own happiness, there are like many methods to be like experience happiness within yourself. But these happiness are temporary happiness. So this happiness, so something like, negative there was like you 하루 송으로 직송으로 그래 negative there was 송이 막 그래 이게 just
나랑기 저 그냥 something 되네
막 닝이 얘기가 제일 so he said something like I think you're well you get an example I don't remember so we so those happiness, these are, we consider that these are like happiness, right? Happiness for in our lives. So these are really temporary kind of happiness, we said. So then we need to seek like complete or the ultimate happiness. So ultimate happiness can like bring forth only if you become Buddha. So this is the only way. So you will have like complete kind of happiness. So then then Rinpoche said so here, yeah. So we need to follow the instruction of the Buddha. So then Buddha will give you like a lot of instructions. There are like a lot of instructions. Then he said, there are many things and we are supposed to avoid. There are many things we are supposed to practice on daily basis. So then in this particular text, actually dealing with our self-cherishing. So he said self-cherishing is the fundamental kind of cause that actually brings unhappy state of mind in ourselves. So that's why we are here. These teachings actually dealing with the self-cherishing. And that self-cherishing, then you can think of like self-cherishing. Self-cherishing is something that, when we look at our suffering and difficulties, all of them are actually caused by self-cherishing. So then we explain that how to overcome that kind of self-cherishing. So that's why this teaching actually dealing how to overcome our self-cherishing.
that is it. That is that. That is it. That is our thing to be.
So now back to the text.
Correct.
So the verse number 68.
Rajanan, any Chunamda Chicina. Anganandu Chunamda Chigina, Cheta Junga, Shanatin, Parasway, Cheta Jaga Shanatins. Any Jonda Tuga Ranglin setting that she Karasure, Chesan of Chine, Jagar of Chine, Chana Pajin, Jonda, Lucasity, Jungur of Chitan, G. Kanger of China, Bugarangilins, Bugala, Yellow Dorothy, Chetan, Yagaso, Javatam, Rangi, Ranga Junior, Shibu, that is the Shenji Tamje Rangi, Pusu Seti, Karasaway, Javatamje, Dan Javachimbu, Javachimbu, Karasaway. Javatamje Rangi, Ranga Juna, and Javatamje Sitidan Javati. The way in the Nasi, that is just 9 years. Arande Longicho Sati, Sula no Juliari, Sui to Wachi, Sui to Wachi, Juliari, Ani Taming Bachin Juliari, Suta, Tea to Roche, Kase Shimbarich. They just any you don't think it's but the vast in Javatamje Rangi Push and Rana Juna somebody Samluti Push Chani and the Legacy. What is Javatamje Rana Juna? Shanama Juna somebody. Shana Juna Tatokia. Shan labor of the Johnson Tato Jensen Chichigriva. That is any the way in the country, 100 number of push to Batilla, she did Tamja push to Lucia.
So verse number 68. We have selfish desire and horrible anger which fester inside us. We will never admit. Right? So selfish desire. So desire, desire. So in general, so if someone's trying to be like trying to be authentic or practitioner dharma, right? Or like we like kind of restrict kind of dharma practice. So their main practice, their crucial practice should be like giving away all the welfare and all the happiness, virtues to other. and ready to like take up on all the blame or like all the negative, negativities upon yourself from the other. These are the crucial practice of the real Dharma practitioners. Yeah? So then, and here, so we tend to have like right opposite of that. So we always craving on like desire to bring happiness for ourselves. Because we have selfish desire. Selfish desire, I don't know, selfish desires, right? Horrible anger. And it's a desire. She's been talking about the desire. So desire, there are 5 objects we crave on. So there are like so there are 5 objects. The form, sound, and smell, and touch. And taste. Okay, those are the 5 objects, and we generate the desires. Yeah, for instance, a form. So we want it to have very nice, physical body. So this we are actually desire to have that kind of nice looking form. And sound, we always wanted to hear good thing about yourself. It's attached to the sound and taste and so forth. Right. So these are the 5 objects usually we generate desires. So then, the Pusashuks. So then, in kind of like in deep in our mind, we have that kind of sense to have, it's like favorable kind of experience with those 5 sense of objects. So
teacher Dova Tamje Rana Chuna be Lu Pugla Chang Lega Person Ganesh would take it about. And then Dova sent to Tugumarva. Dova sent to Tugumari, Matubaya, Gangi touches. Jessa Dova Tamje be Rana Chuna be Lu Pugla Shani Lega Person and Insan to Susulkanichi Samlo Marabatan, Susulkani Mabutirba. Billy Assembly could young to Jagachin, Tilega Garichin, and Tindegi Rose Shuchimbo never. Tindegi could the Lega the Jane Sambasin Teresa Lega the Lamdu Mandune, anything. Then you get low shook chamber to you. And it's legacy Manduna, and it's the trigger. Could be similarly a pair. Shook chamber chair. Some shook chamber chair, and they were in Madura. Or the instant, or the young teacher.
So then, whatever we do, like physically or anything, whatever we do, and the deep, like the bottom of our heart, sort of like we have that sense. So sense like desire to have good experience or like favorable kind of experience with those 5 sense of objects. So whatever we do so we have that kind of sense within ourselves at the time. So then, if we have that sense and really strong, and sometimes it happens. So if you desire for something, then you would have it. You can get it. So most of the time, it's really difficult to get that. So it's difficult to find that whatever you are desire for, or you try to obtain. So it's really difficult to get them, like whatever you intend for. So then at that moment, so we suffer. Then we have like all kinds of like emotions, mental emotions. Then we get like suffer. So then all of them actually come from like something you're trying to do for yourself.
Oh, did you? Dogoro Shebata, Jiki Mintis, Tana Rangi Java Mayimba Jeve, Angin Chijang, Remi Shengi Kuto to Gelkantu Chiatita, jokes ji ji rangi jawa mai ba rangi ji jawa mai ba ji ne mai ba jawa ji che vi na ni ji当年的县里呀，当年春节，你没县了头的给，而且有可能是的呢，去让给叫忙的，当年春节，当年的春节，那叫的没嘛些，叫嘛些，当年的春节。没县的头的呀，给个节了，跟肉下定肉给，可是的，如果他们这没县了解释的，你小王们把他们这，你他们把春节，让你叫们把这，他们把就用这几个多呢，他们把春节县了解了，他是这样，接的了。如果他们这，你可是说的，县了建设的点吧，可是说的，他们这对面县了解释，他们这对面如果不可是说的，如果他们这对面县了解释的，
So then the text, verse number 68, yet without provocations, right? Provocations, we criticize others and self-righteously charge them with faults we possess. So Gyokor Thamje Demishan is like, so if we did something wrong, right? We did something wrong, we don't admit what we have done. So we try to blame on some other. So even though we did something wrong, Gyokor Thamje Demishan, without any reason, okay, without any reason. So then, so we always, blame to other. So even though we did something wrong, Gyokor Thamje Demishan resistance, so to which
你叫你把这个，叫你把做事的，跟你叫你把这个了，跟你去看你把这个用的，当年把他就被县了呀，也都经验的了。
So then, if you do something wrong, then the people is going to find out, right? People are going to find it out, and then you will be in like some kind of problems. So then, before it comes to you, you always tend to like you direct or you tend to give it to some other, sort of like of course give it to some other. Means like you're blaming on other and telling them this is their fault. So that's why it happens to me, something like that.
This the thing is, now seven not ranching the DG. Now seven the ranching the sympathy you were only, and it's the Batamje ranching somebody much there. The thing legacy change the legacy, alarm to mind you, but also ranking when a majority, Shangu quality. Then the tongue and percentage shell get of chiati. Aku Ambu Samlu to just a tamper, to years now. Tell it any that in the sound of coffee, the full cannon number tailor. Oh, Kanish would tailor. Tongue about the shell, Rangi Shibu, the bottom Rangi Shibu shadow, Timber to Kangachi. I take Kangachi tail with the Jawang and Batan, Rangi Jay, Jaw, for some partnership to do Marva, Matuvache Jawan never in Jawan never, some never each year gave a lot of the universe to Suvita, Ranakanish Chegriba. In Sati, Suzukanga, Nana, Shivating night, to go with some chamber tamba TV. Every day the summer to Mena, and Chawakaji, Juni, she
So then all of these happen due to our self-cherishing, self-cherishing. Because of our self-cherishing, we have really strong desire to have some kind of pleasurable kind of, the feelings. Then in order to get that, like obtain that, then we do like all kinds of act. So try to bring it forth to yourself. And sometimes we do like a really bad act, or we do like a mistake. We make mistake, like we use like a wrong kind of methods to bring forth happiness for yourself. Then it happens. When it happens, then the people will know. Then you are in like a trouble. So before it gets to troubles to you, then you tend to blame it on others. Just trying to give it like 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 criticizing others, sort of other. So when we look at this, so all of these are due to our self-cherishing. Self-cherishing. If you don't have self-cherishing, if you are like overcome with self-cherishing, then so even though if something bad happened to you, we really don't care. So if it good happens to you, we really don't care about it. So we don't make like a big kind of issue for that situation. So we try to subdue, or we try to like minimize that kind of situation if we don't have the self cherishing.
Oi, tatini, punji tobe gola chins, tata shime, yinga marayas, tati, punji tobe gola chins, punji tobe di, tak tanjiru dije, tanjiru golas, tanjiru siti ngang jimbo, tatun zimba, nga sinyati, nga siyati ngundu, lola shayin di pe, mwen sinti yuwa sati, shiri. Pate chega china yama, ngade pate chega china, niju yama. Minduga, ngandu, nga se, ngale pe, ngale chi shu jung se, pe lo shuk chimba chikiduga. Ngade, kubato tagi ina, su dine re mindu, soa dine mindu, sem dine maris, sem le shu yaske yama. Tachasa, pate ga china yama. Mayini, sega chini mebe ina, pe lo shuk chimba ena niji besochi. O digi kele tangji siya. Jasa tinda digi kare suwa mele pe tawa tangje tawa siya rwa digi jasa kunji tobe gole chems nima bati tangam chanju senda kunzo chanju semi miki. Mebran jose, lakbran jose, chems.
So then text verse number 68. Tremble him, dance on the head of this how to say this, stressful concept of selfish concern. Treacherous, right? Treacherous concept. Like a wrong concept? Means okay. Dangerous. Okay, treacherous concept, which is self-concern, or sometimes they call it self-grasping. Selfish concern here, right? Sometimes they call it self-grasping. So then self-grasping. So this is the one of the cause that actually brings all the negative thoughts in our minds. So right. So the self, here's the selfish concern or self-grasping. There's a self, like the word self, I, I. So then this is the mistake kind of understanding of our identity, or like I, or self. So then without it's like a normal, without doing any analytical kind of like exercise, so there's like we have like a natural kind of understanding of I is something that is solid, and we'll feel like this is some kind of findable kind of object. So then when we do like some kind of exercise, like analytical kind of meditation exercise, then we cannot find that I. So for instance, someone hits you, so you'll think like, oh, he hits me. Then we need to find out where's the me, like where's the concept of me or I. So then there's the five possible kind of field or objects, like five aggregates. There are five aggregates. We cannot find the notion of I, like the notion of I on any of these objects. So like for instance, mind, we will say like mind could be the I. So then we could say like mind could be the I. So then if someone hits you, so that nobody can hit our mind, right? So you can go through that kind of analytical kind of exercise, and you cannot find I. That's something we believe initially.
Tata Sheme Gola Marayas. Tata Sitita Tanziti Shemati Tanzigi Guju Jesha Pay Shemas Shing So Juni Labara Rotin Shing So Juni Shemas Verba. What did the Rajin? He any Rajin any Tarasubre Kevetawa Paj Rangi Kevetawa to Super Chigari, the Tarasubre Harvelam Harve Salted Pajovici. When a Shema Singitini, Lou Sigrava, Yard of the Sigrava, dirty. Indian she favored nation Rangi Tarbadi Sort Pajovici. Yasaku Tada Shema Shema Tada Sheme Nila Marayas, Nila, you to defend that. Sengi Jinjuti, Rajinji Sengi Jinjuti, never sort of Maraya, never cheese. What is here?
So then the text, the same verse 68, tear out the heart of this self-centered butcher who slaughters our chance to gain final release. The other Shema butcher, self-centered butcher, self-cherishing. Sometimes they say self-cherishing. So this self-cherishing is something that actually cuts off our the liberations. It's a liberation, our happiness. This takes away self-cherishing mind. Actually takes away our happiness or the possible kind of the liberation from the samsara, the liberation from samsara. So then here in Tibetan, this is Ningla Maraya. Ningla Maraya is heart of the self-center. Ningla Maraya means Ning, heart, right? Heart. So in Tibetan, we have like different meaning for that. So different meaning is like how we perceive them and how we see them, how we believe in them. So then, this is wrong belief or like wrong thoughts. So we wanted to destroy that kind of wrong, like misconceptual or the wrong idea of self and self.
Oh, the Tanziti Chindag Suting, Chindati, that any Shembachi, Milati, the Lango de Chita search you. Searching you to theoretical Chindati. No, so Jenny, Rajiniti. Just the Tanziti Lango search unity to the Tanziti chair. It does shiny no pay Tikini Lango so unity Rajiniti chair. What is here?
So then we have concept of self-concern and the self-center, right? Self-center, butcher. So, so the selfish concern or the self-grasping is like acting like a master, okay? Or the self here self-center self-centered or the self-cherishing is acting like a servant. So here, so then, here we have example of butcher. So then we can think of like owner of the butcher shop is like self-grasping. There's someone who is killing, like doing the acting of killing, like holding the knife and like killing the animal. So that is like our self-cherishing mind. So self-cherishing mind is something that is actually destroying our happiness. That actually motivated by the selfish concern or self-grasping. Self-grasping actually pushes self-center to destroy our happiness. So self-center or the self-cherishing mind is the one who actually takes away our happiness.
That's the so Jayate Karisina Tabalana maybe Gawati Shabachigara Batakanje Ranjinji Shenjinji Shenjabran Shenjinji Lodi Shabach Lodi never together. Ranjinji into Shenjinji the Hanji Kimbatuji so Jimbo. Lodi never severe. What is we so jet? Maria said,
so here it says tear out the heart of
Shema.
So the of the self-centered butcher. So self-centered mind or self-cherishing. Self-cherishing is a factor that actually prevents us to become fully enlightened. So then, in order to become fully enlightened or Buddha, so there's core factor is the other cherishing, altruistic mind. So then self-cherishing actually destroying to generate that kind of mind. So that's why we call that is like a butcher actually acting like directly to destroy our our like ultimate kind of happiness. So there's here is altruistic mind or other cherishing. In Tibetan we call other cherishing. So since we have like self-cherishing mind, self-centered mind, then that actually prevent us to generate the core factor of the core factor of the enlightened state, which is other cherishing or the altruistic mind.
Labja, eaten news. That make goodness, Nange Jimde Divichus, Shumi, Chimbetus, Gretus, upon any mean dignity, Caresine, it should is Juda. Any Jimmy, Gizuma, any Gano, the Gano Martin, to Sula, Gizulio so. Shunies, get you get them bashu. Near the Canon get them bashu. Lila children make you. Chivachelan is the Chivachelan. Ujula, let me go. The name teacher, Chiva the Gani Chiva in between. Telling dear the name. Ujula, let me go. Don't this all assume to shoot. Dead in the day, soon to shoot. So le just the harem eating that happiness passion. Really, I need Anlabati, Chia, and the delivery Swatavia. Swatavati said the Kunjo, Della Swata, Dedi Lakshavati, Lanelice, what in the Chiniti, Sunjus and Delaches, soon at the Jogati, Rabi G. Can you Google us of the government? Can you to suit Tayagi material the Tarsila, Sunjuti, Delayach, Shiatel? Any Sunjuk Delicious at the
So then, verse number 69, we wear robes of saffron, yet seek our protection and refuge in the spirit and God of this world, holy gods. So then, Murmikun, like we wear robes of saffron, that refers to Sangha, the monks and nuns. So there are two types of monks and nuns, One like a novice monk, and fully ordained monks. There are two types of monks and nuns. As they're supposed to leave behind all the worldly activities, and they're supposed to dedicate their life for the Dharma practices, right? So then they're one of their practice. So when they get like some difficulties and problems, so then they tend to go and seek a help from worldly gods and like spirits, demons. Then they just go for them and ask them for like some instruction, and they follow their instructions instead of like following the Buddha's instructions. So there we are supposed to, since we have put on these robes, we are supposed to follow the Buddha's advice. So instead of doing that, we go out and seek and help and follow the worldly gods and spirits.
What that Tombalani, larger to the news. That Tombati La Sotagi Tombana, chancing the Tombala. Any Lani, Yatagi Lapjal Melavache. Yugi, Yugi Jobat Timba. Yugi Jobat Garrison, Miguel. Yugi Jobat Yati, Chilapachia. People may go Jobat that Yugi Jobat Jovati, she Jovatia and number two. Shem Miguel Jubatia. And the Yugi Jobatirva. Just a love chat is Tombalaya to Sota Chanson to Tombalan. Sota Chanson the love chat to Mother. He Jabala Jabata Timba. He Jubal Timba. And do the twin set, Duke Jubat. That Duke Jubat twin set. Duke Jubat Twinati, Duke Jubat Targasana, Javaling Yabachi. Miguel Jubachi. Just the people Miguel Changal Jubachi.
Verse number 69, and we have promised to keep solemn vows of strict morals, that our actions accord with the demons of false ways, right? False ways. So what's this? Accord with the keep solemn vows. So there are many vows we can take. Like for instance, we have taken the Bodhisattva vows, and for monks and nuns we have taken Patimoksha vows and novice monks vows. So all of these are supposed to bring happiness for yourself and provide happiness for others. So those are meant to bring happiness for all of us. So then instead of doing that, we tend to engage, or we tend to behave like demons, like foulness. Foulness and demons. Act of demons is to destroy themselves and destroy happiness for others. Happiness for themselves and happiness for others. Their main function is to destroy happiness for themselves and others. So then, since we have taken those vows, we are supposed to bring happiness for others and ourselves. Then we tend to act, like demons and making like trouble for yourself and others.
Dine dui sayati ta dui garab unju singi chayari dode dui garab unju singi de dui ginane ta tok chawa digi garachi resina yawa jibana patu chaya asimje tamje chadang dui kubar chingi kubar yawa chingi jiyuna tila patu chaya yala ngaya ta kiri chi naya ta ani chi simje marubo simki marubo 차단기 개버지가 어딘지 지기 진행지야를 되게 누가를 주세 데이터스네 두이다 뉴스에 데이터스네 지게 야 근데 뒤디 라진지리 샤네 데이터 뉴스 어디 데이터 뉴스 이번 교환을 주세요 저거 데이터 뉴스 라진지 뜻이나 라진지 그런기 온도 땅이잖아. 그 동발랑 딜랍제도 말해보지. 라진지 그런기 지 온도 땅에 이 초스탄에 지 얘기 지었으나 아니 이게 미겨봐. 여왕 양바지부터 미겨봐. 해와지게 해봐. 어떻게 저래 뒤에 राजनीति लेने के वो क्यों कर पंजुसिया यार बेवकलाच यार
So the accord with the demons. So demons, it could be like two meanings. Yeah, it could be like two meanings. This metaphor for like two meanings. So one is there's a demon when the Buddha's time, and he caused like trouble to people who are doing like dharma practices, and he was causing them to have generate the strong desire and like causing pain for them when the Buddha's during the Buddha's time. So we can refer him as demon over here, right? So he's actually causing difficulties for beings. So then another meaning could be also demon that in Tibetan it's called Du Garab Onju. I don't know in English. There's a name I know, but I don't remember the name of this at this moment. Du Garab Onju. Du Garab Onju is was the God, like a desire, God or the Lord of the desire God, actually desire God. So then he causes all the pain and the desire within this within us, something like that. There's a kind of like looks like there's a story about it, something. Anyway, so then we can refer this demon as that, the desire God, or there's another metaphor we can take. It's like our own self-cherishing. Self-cherishing. Self-cherishing is like a demon, so taking over all our happiness. So then, since we have taken all the vows and the commitments, we are supposed to act to bring happiness for yourself and others. Instead of doing that, we go after our self-grasp, self-cherishing, then we like cause a lot of pain for ourselves and others.
that is kanga ya chinge di ran chindi ta tan diris na ta sheme kon karesa punji to be gola chin ta sheme kon maraya ninga maraya that is jibari
again. The next following verses are saying, tremble him, dance on the head, all this is same thing. So again, this is all of these are happening to us due to our self-grasping and self-cherishing.
I'm just saying, just a quick, when you get Melepa Kanga Kuni, that Queen, the Kabu Tangi, Abarish.
So then in this text, we have like saying to oversaying again and again about like tremble him, or self-concern and the self-centered ritual, self-grasping or self-cherishing. So then this is actually, we try to, what you call it, we try to destroy or we try to suppress these two wrong conceptions or like ideas. So that's why we keep saying over again and again, try to suppress them.
Oh, the answer that Dajin is ranching this need to pay to the Taji. Tashi number good Karasure, Taji, Chiguaji, Yachimbu input the input. And then Queen put in Dajin the ranching this need. This is the condition. I think it is condition. Ini hak government di joint ini bukti kati ini ini bukti ini bukti kerja tahun sumber cili sampai tabaris cili sampai aja gitu lah.
So then, so we know that the self-grasping and the self-cherishing are the fundamental cause of our happiness, the suffering. That's why we should have some kind of sense that these two negativities should be abandoned. So so we need to destroy them. So then, in order to do that, first of all, we need to understand what is self-grasping and what is self-cherishing. So we need to identify them. Something we need to have we need to understand overall idea of these two negativities. We need to study, we need to study to find out what are the causes for them, what are the causes, and how it generates in your mind, how it actually affects to your own life. So we need to investigate or study about that, and so then we need to put some kind of effort to destroy these two negativities. So this is really important. It's really important for your happiness and happiness.
The Dita Rajin never get the what yet. Manadu Karasure and Tatu with Tabet was the Wakim Mecheva, Yamba Mevati, Yoya, Jawati to Yamari. Arranging the only Chimbaretita, Chimbatini, Chimbatambi, any Tona, me you into ya. The never you into ya, the legit cheer. It's a meal you get to me. Any Yawamiduba, Nathan, Nidrash, and Jache. Meal you didn't caress and a bit to me, not so juicy, Naranji you didn't. To make Hamjin Junior of Jiredo. You didn't tell some covering a bit and the Kangan Pambuch period. Such as a ranch in Jibi, a vegetarian in it, never the door in the jail. Habit was with the habit of the person at the working nature. And it was in Yamyama. And you need to do it. Color symbol side the Wajin. I'm sitting here. She will make the word of a child. To what they were the Yamduba. Ranchi, the poor giant is away. Namakawati, young and chicken, the Tambu with the Selenoju with the order of the Wakachi into some butter, there was no way of chat. Chessy with the order. Today, gentlemen, Raji the only Chimbataya, Raji the only Chudum Jerry, you do Henry go out here. A bit over to him. A day is another Togi, Raji Chinditi, Raji was only Yawal Vijay Tabshi Chimbatan, Chudum Jajani, Hamiko Varajito, Hamigu to me, Pumbut Lane. Miduba, that is, there were image of it, there were these Gagiari. Chessie, there were Chigiari, Pingiam.
So then the self-grasping and the self-cherishing, these two are actually sometimes can bring happiness and sometimes can bring that kind of favorable kind of condition to yourself. So for instance, but nevertheless, all of them are not an everlasting kind of happiness. So there are like always conditions for that. So for instance, because due to your self-grasping and self-cherishing, so then you can achieve higher form, like human being rebirth, or like a God, God pleasure, like you can enjoy the pleasure of the God's realm, God realms. But all of them are not, like pure happiness. Pure happiness means like everlasting happiness. So then they can bring some limited kind of happiness, but never ever can bring any everlasting kind of happiness. So then the everlasting, if you wish to achieve or obtain everlasting kind of happiness, we need to abandon these two negativities. So then these two, if you're able to abandon those two negativities, then we will become arhat, sort of like arhat. Arhat state is some kind of we call it like irreversible kind of attainment, right? Irreversible kind of attainment. Once you achieve that kind of state, then you're never gonna fall back. You're never gonna come down to samsara kind of existence. So you are actually totally free from the samsara. So then in order to do that, we need to abandon self-grasping and self-cherishing. So even though they bring like some form of happiness, they are not they cannot bring everlasting happiness at all.
Things are that, Maraji Joa Kandich Jenny, Shin, Kunalan, Kantuchi to China, need that connection.
So that's why, so whatever we do in our daily life, we try to do it in a way that something is related to other. That means like a benefit to other.
Raya Puyachi, Tanya sometimes simply Marubat Chim. She Raya Puya, she Rangati, and the Sanjay Penny, Julia, the Sanjay, and Tiki, some Madame Raji Apuya, Kenya, some Tampa, Maravich, some Tikachu, some top Chunjuje. 아니 비행기 디비디 제비는 쌤 tomchambje jaachambje ni 디토게 쌤가 뽑았다 디기인구야.
So then if we do everything out of our self-grasping and self-cherishing, that kind of concern, then so in some point it's really, we can say it's really shameful act. So because whatever we have joyful experience and happiness, all of them are actually came from the kindness of sentient beings. If we don't like repair them back, so there is like a betraying them, like sort of kind of like we are betraying them, right? So then so then we should concern about others. So all of your so happiness actually matters, like like to others.
That's the
Any questions? No questions? Wow. No? Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned before that it's important to analyze and understand the causes of self-grasping and self-cherishing. And I know through meditation and the practice and the teachings that that's helpful, but sometimes in certain areas like matters of the heart, like our kids or certain things, it becomes much tougher. Are there any other ways in which we can get assistance in understanding the causes of those, personally?
Hmm.
Yeah, did I?
Oh, sorry. So you mean like
We
can you
said
rephrase
to
it?
understand the causes. So for us to analyze and understand what causes us
Okay.
to be self-grasping.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And what are some ways in which we can do that when we have problems? Like certain things are harder. Like our kids, we love them so much that we tend to be more self-grasping because of our love.
Okay.
So when we love something, it's harder for us.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes. This is beneficial. Dances the ranches the dances in the land so to be the hak watch your rest. And this feeling and this meaning of hak watch your rest. The hak on it so to get the children. This is the beneficial deal kind of gummed out the dove, the children who want to tend to Yakudo, and to Yakudo. But this Suzuki Pugan lady, Susu Pugan lady, Alakabashira, Penapula, David Tavata Jura. David Tavati, that delay Yachik Suzuki this tune learn 2 minutes. Then there's never, and there would never do some and this come the guy, the Yuna, Hashit Yana.
不是你的结清不的，不是的现的吧？然嘛的，那的年嘛的路对呀。
그런 거 답이 착각도 쉬워. this is the time to get some.
예, 년마 마음이 출了钱呢. 부부들이 아마도 마시나 삼사는. 아마도 부부들 마시나 삼사는 돼. 선바 상부터 여행해서 네가 아니지. 자유를 얘기하게 되지. 루기야리 삼삼부터. 그때 그거야리 삼삼부터.
So love, right? Love towards, like concern about your kids. It's like really important because this is something related to other. So you are actually thinking of other. So then there's no this is not any mistaken kind of ideas or love, something like that. There's a story. Let me say there's a story. It says about like there's a mother and a daughter. Mother pure, mother pumure, mother purwa. There's a mom,
mother pumure,
daughter. So it's like like how do you say like
coach kid 남아시는 삼사람들이 되게 삼로도 매বে. 붓 뭐지 마티 마시나. 마티 붓 뭐지 마시나 삼바르지. 삼바지야로. 남아시나 삼바르지 삼바지야나. 이에서 네가 쓰는 상부지네. 네가지 아니 하유리 기로 이야리 남준다 이야리.
somehow they fell into a river, sort of like river, and drifting, right? Drifting them down, and so they were like so worried that one of them was so worried. Mother was so worried that she wanted to just save her daughter, and daughter was so worried that wish she will be fine. She will like wanted to save her. So they have that kind of like intention, like helping to each other. Then due to that kind of positive thoughts, then they
남아시나
so they never thought like so I want like let me free from myself, something like that. They never actually wanted to like getting out of the river for themselves. They wanted to take away the other person out of the river, sort of like that. So because of that intention, that thoughts, the positive thoughts, they were born into like a God realm because of that thought. So that's what you're saying. Thinking of other is okay, sort of like.
No, any rang bugula ji joy bana shi any sing bugula joy bati ji pa ya chiru tani any cheguya di chechim bimbre mo rangi nangi le joy bana any ji joy di ni chindi xianle chaya dile du si jeni chaya di chechim yaris.
So then, love towards your child or children is really good. Then you can use that as a basis. You can expand that feeling towards your neighbors, and extend like eventually you should extend that kind of feeling towards entire sentient beings. Yes.
So just in regards to how to relinquish yourself from self-grasping and self-cherishing, it sounds to me like you should more or less be focused on always helping others, and so you should never really be worried about being taken care of, taking care of yourself. And so that I guess by taking care of others, you'll be taken care of, like maybe by Buddha, or you don't have to worry about taking care of yourself.
Okay. Penetration tanda gengi di tanjin da jangchi di ni di che go ne den go a khoran ge samlo ta gen di samen yin chi samlo lo par li di na ta da do do di shen da la shen pian che ro ba che shen mian ro ba ya go che ba ina su su ge gang de rang shu ge ya ba cha gu de che sa ji su 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 di chuni samlo da mo ji su su di sem de che mo go che yuk sha che de shen da gen yo la che de na su su ge 대화도 수식이 개변이 랑식이 용고 된대래 지레베스
Diri.
yeah very something like that.
Samlo di gyachimbo resna. Gyachimbo yindi damba kange di chaya ngolo dhubruba. E chuguti chene rang chi siri samlo di gyachimbo. Gyachimbo di chaya yindi damba samdi. Kange di sem gyachimbo che sem pusu dhubu. Chebi yisane ni kange mambu teriya. Gyachimbo chebi yina. 강에 대 책이야 말아 어디서 생비가 삼록이 응어스지야 너스 마지니 지 삼록단지 삼바디 삼록이 지안에 양도 땅고야 장고야 비제진 삼바생이 직 장소는 그냥 그런 식으로 간 삼록 해야 돼요.
So yeah, let me say that is true, because if you think of others as well, others, always complaining about other, and in Tibetan we call it somewhat like Dachim. Dachim means like really, it's like broad-minded, sort of like broad-minded. I don't know if English, broad-minded, sort of like. So then that if you have that kind of thoughts in yourself, then you never be like unhappy, sort of like let me say unhappy. That means that you're not actually focusing on yourself. You're not trying to find some kind of, difficulties for yourself. So you're not focusing on yourself. You're looking outwardly for like others. So then you will never experience, if you have that kind of idea, thoughts in yourself, you will never experience any suffering, any difficulties, any pains. But so Ramesh was saying like it was like he was saying in the initial level, sometimes it's really difficult to start, to have that kind of maintain that kind of mentality, like mind set. So, but it needs like a training. So if you do like if you like do some practice, and after a while, then it comes really naturally, and also then you will feel like differently.
That's a question that kind of relates to the fact that we've got the Olympics going on, and it's just kind of it's esoteric, I guess, a little bit. But I've often thought about it with my own daughter. She does a lot of running, and I kind of want to know, what is the thought of sports? Are sports, can they be positive, to applying the Dharma, or is the activity of trying to be the best runner, is it kind of just another form of self-cherishing and self-centeredness?
This is from Pomodi usually at the US. This is the Olympic and Kevara. This is the Malay. Chess and Kurang the Tanda di Chich Euro. The Olympic says Chich Euro. The Session of Sama Rang changing Queen and Lang Chesha over there. Yamana Delia, any the Shembeg is some low in the town of Chia, Nam the Chia, and the sure the David Chia and the Yoruba. The Yoruba.
The Kendi Jiris because Karite, Krangi Legate.
Marta in the Tendushi, what is some of the Chidang festival.
There is ranching this genetic Shay again. Rangi Shay, done Shay again. The Latinity, Shay the Latinic, teaching ya. Get up the G. Yeah, Dilatini cake of the Dylan Sinjaki Kangesia. But it is some tampion. Yapuyaris.
So self-cherishing. So self-cherishing could be positive sometimes. Like for instance, if you're studying something, so you wanted to learn something, right? You all wanted to learn something. You wanted to get like a top, like rank in your like class or something like that. That kind of intention is not harmful. Understand? That actually encourages you to have like a better, like a better kind of result. By having that kind of intention, that actually helps you to go through all the process, like really like accordingly. So similar like that, in the say, for instance, for a country, like if you think of a country, and in order to bring like happiness for like my people, you say like my people, then you will do like you can like play off like a sport, you can bring up the name of the nation in like in a world or something like that. You can do like even though if you have some kind of like a self-cherishing thoughts, that could be a positive too. Yeah.
Why this text is important?
Why this is important? This to us, head to go. The catching book catching us.
The catching the Samlu Tondala. Samlu Yapuchola. Yeah. Rana Kangan Mataya. Chigrala Chi Melipati Tanda. Samlu Karitan Narji Leg the Kunjuvana Shava Maiba. Kangatus. Rangi Legend Gujus. Rangi Chi Kangayavati Shandala Kangamatia. Rangi no Malachavi, Shanda Chigi Javacha, and Panis Chegia similar. He can't to scratch every Kunjuvana. Rangi Mamanams Javan Miriba Chedi, Angeti Chevari, just as Kangeti Rang, Srisha Varesha, Anatulaya. He telling the young Kanget in the Kanget Mambuya, to soon yet Kanget the creature of a show. Shanda Kanget in the young shows, similar Pendo Chimbotan. 마음번에 뛰기 여기 다시 남 친부지르게 해서.
So this text is important. Understand? Actually, this learning this text, going through this text is actually helping you to shape your mind, sort of like directing your mind towards positive side, so positive side. So then in this, so we have been thinking that sometimes we have been thinking so some kind of problem happened to you. So sometimes we think someone actually caused that kind of problem to me. And sometimes we think and like some religion point of view, some religion aspect, they actually believe actually there's someone's punish us. So we believe that. And this text, sometimes we even don't realize so why this kind of problem is happening to me or happening to us. So then this text actually explaining you how we experience those negative feelings and feelings and emotions, and how we suffer. Then this text actually tell us how can we avoid also this kind of situation, this kind of problem. So that means it actually helps you to so then in general, so whatever problems come to your life, ultimately it's actually caused by your own. So we never ever thought that before. We never realized that is something actually all of this happening due to your own mistakes. We never thought that. So then this text actually explains also that kind of fashions, that kind of things, and then actually help us to understand what are the causes and the ultimate causes of difficulties and problems.
이 강의 지체인지 등거 아니 시행을 칸 라진지 되게 제소 선보로 지체니 라진지 그걸 계시구나 아니 강의 지체 탈출도 이 맞아요 이제 시행기 지체 되니 지 강의 중에 처리해야지 엘리 마샤브제 라진지 라진지 되게 제시야 제가 있는 다 탈출 그 녀들이 강의 중에 처벌 많이 의무가 이제 탈출이야 이 많이 버제 강의 디센다 제벌인지 제벌이나 아니 강의 디미 처벌이야 내가 볼 탐을 강의 디 탈출만 되지 아니 나는 강의만 버티게
So then if you have problems, then we tend to blame on others, and then we try to solve their problems relating to others. So if you do that, if you carry on that kind of manner, it's never gonna solve your problem. Instead of looking outwardly, so we try to look inward, sort of then we realize our self-cherishing and the self-grasping are the fundamental causes of your problem. So then you don't need to deal with other people. So you deal with yourself. You just try to destroy your own self-grasping and self-cherishing. So if you're able to destroy them, then there's no problem. So you don't need to deal with other people. So this is inward kind of quality. We just try to destroy inwardly. So you don't need to deal with others. So then it's much easier. Then if you do that, then they will be this is the only method you can overcome your problems, or ultimate, everlasting kind of. You can have everlasting happiness eventually.
요즘에 또 상계신도 누구의 남자신 이해다 모르고 자주 샘주 나에게 하는 기부 예바 양바며 권해 권도 배우시오 가리라게 고외신도 된다 대와